Welcome back to the channel. Today we dive into one of the most fascinating, science-backed practices that has been gaining traction worldwide, the 3-minute cold exposure hack. At first glance, it might sound extreme, submerging yourself in icy water, deliberately choosing discomfort. But beneath the surface lies a powerful biological mechanism that can transform the way you experience discipline, motivation, and mental clarity. Let's start with the basics. Cold exposure is not just about testing your toughness. It's about leveraging the body's natural systems to create a chemical foundation for focus and resilience. When you step into cold water, your sympathetic nervous system is instantly activated. Your body interprets the sudden drop in temperature as a stressor, and in response, it releases a surge of neurotransmitters. Among them, dopamine stands out. Why dopamine? Because dopamine is not just the pleasure molecule people casually talk about. It's the driver of motivation, the fuel behind discipline, and the chemical that makes effort feel rewarding. Studies show that a short, deliberate cold plunge can trigger a sustained increase in dopamine levels up to 250% above baseline. Unlike the fleeting spikes you get from scrolling social media or eating junk food, this surge lasts for hours, giving you a stable platform for productivity and focus. Think about it. Discipline often feels like a battle against your own brain. You want to work, but distractions pull you away. You want to stay consistent, but motivation fades. Cold exposure flips that script. Instead of relying on willpower alone, you're building a biological baseline that makes discipline feel natural. It's no longer about forcing yourself. It's about aligning your chemistry with your goals. And here's the deeper truth. Discomfort is not the enemy. In fact, deliberate discomfort is one of the most powerful acts of self-love. By choosing to step into the cold, you're telling yourself, I care enough about my long-term clarity and health to endure short-term friction. This is discipline reframed, not as punishment, but as empowerment. Cold exposure is more than just a dopamine hack. It's a reset button for your mind. In our modern world, we're constantly bombarded with notifications, deadlines, and endless streams of information. The brain gets overloaded, and clarity becomes rare. Stepping into the cold is like pressing pause on all that noise. For 3 minutes, your body is forced into the present moment. You're not thinking about emails or social media. You're thinking about survival, about breath, about enduring. That radical focus is what makes the practice so transformative. When you emerge from the cold, the world feels different. Colors seem sharper, thoughts feel cleaner, and distractions lose their grip. This isn't magic, it's biology. By activating the sympathetic nervous system and then allowing it to calm down, you're training your body to handle stress more effectively. You're teaching your brain that discomfort can be managed, that chaos can be controlled, and that clarity is always within reach. Now, let's connect this to discipline. Discipline is often framed as a battle of willpower, but in reality, it's a chemistry game. If your dopamine baseline is low, every task feels heavy. If your dopamine baseline is high and stable, effort feels rewarding. Cold exposure gives you that stable baseline. It's like upgrading your brain's operating system. Suddenly, waking up early, sticking to routines, and pushing through hard work doesn't feel like punishment. It feels natural. There's also a deeper psychological shift. When you choose discomfort voluntarily, you reclaim control. Most stress in life feels imposed. Traffic jams, deadlines, unexpected problems. But when you deliberately step into the cold, you're telling your brain, I decide the terms of my struggle. That sense of agency is powerful. It reframes discipline from something forced upon you into something you actively choose. And here's the beauty. It doesn't take hours, just 3 minutes. 3 minutes of deliberate cold exposure can create hours of clarity, motivation, and focus. Compare that to the fleeting dopamine hits of scrolling TikTok or binge-watching shows. Those activities drain your baseline, leaving you more tired and less motivated. Cold exposure builds your baseline, leaving you sharper and more resilient. This is why so many high performers, from athletes to entrepreneurs, are embracing the practice. It's not about proving toughness, it's about engineering a state of mind where discipline feels effortless. It's about creating a physiological foundation for success that doesn't depend on fleeting motivation. So how do you actually integrate cold exposure into your daily routine? The beauty of this practice is its simplicity. You don't need expensive equipment or complicated rituals. All you need is cold water and 3 minutes of courage. Here's a practical roadmap. Step 1. Start small. If you're new, don't jump straight into an ice bath. Begin with cold showers. At the end of your regular shower, turn the water cold for 30 seconds. Focus on your breath, stay calm, and remind yourself that discomfort is temporary. Step 2. Build up. Gradually increase the duration. Move from 30 seconds to 1 minute, then 2, until you can comfortably handle 3 minutes. The goal isn't to suffer, it's to train your nervous system to adapt. Step 3. Stay consistent. Cold exposure works best when practiced regularly. Aim for 3 to 4 sessions per week. Consistency is what builds the dopamine baseline and rewires your relationship with discomfort. Step 4. Reflect. After each session, take a moment to notice how you feel. Journal your clarity, your energy, your mood. This reflection reinforces the connection between deliberate discomfort and mental empowerment. Now, let's bring this to life with a story. Imagine someone struggling with procrastination. Every morning, they wake up with good intentions, but distractions pull them away. They scroll their phone, delay their work, and end the day frustrated. Then they decide to try cold exposure. On day 1, it feels unbearable. On day 2, they last longer. By week 2, they're hitting 3 minutes consistently. Suddenly, their mornings feel sharper. They're less tempted to scroll, more eager to start tasks, and more resilient when challenges arise. What changed? Not their willpower, but their chemistry. Cold exposure gave them a dopamine foundation that made discipline feel natural. This is why cold exposure is more than a trend. It's a tool. It bridges the gap between biology and psychology, between discomfort and clarity. It transforms discipline from a mental struggle into a physical baseline. And most importantly, it proves that self-love isn't always soft. Sometimes self-love is choosing the harder path because you know it leads to long-term strength. Cold exposure is not just about the science. It's about the story you tell yourself. Every time you step into the cold, you're rewriting your identity. You're no longer the person who avoids discomfort. You're the person who embraces it, who transforms it, who uses it as fuel. That shift in identity is what makes discipline sustainable. Because discipline is not about forcing yourself to do things you hate. It's about becoming the kind of person who thrives in challenge. Think about the ripple effect. 3 minutes in cold water doesn't just give you dopamine, it gives you proof. Proof that you can endure. Proof that you can choose discomfort and come out stronger. That proof carries into every other area of life. When you face a tough project, you remember the cold. When you feel tempted to procrastinate, you remember the cold. When you doubt yourself, you remember the cold. It becomes a symbol of resilience, a reminder that you are capable of more than you think. And here's the empowering truth. Discipline is self-love. Not the soft, easy kind of self-love, but the hard, enduring kind. The kind that says, I care enough about my future to endure discomfort today. Cold exposure embodies that philosophy perfectly. It reframes discipline as an act of care, not punishment. It shows that choosing the harder path is sometimes the most loving choice you can make for yourself. So, what's the call to action? Simple. Try it. Don't just watch this video, experience it. Tomorrow morning, finish your shower with 30 seconds of cold water. Notice how your body reacts. Notice how your mind sharpens. Then build up to 3 minutes. Journal the changes. Track your clarity, your focus, your discipline. Share your journey with others. Inspire them to reclaim their chemistry, to embrace discomfort, to discover the power of deliberate cold exposure. This is not about chasing trends. It's about building a foundation of dopamine, of discipline, of clarity, a foundation that makes you resilient in a world full of distractions, a foundation that proves discomfort can be the ultimate act of self-love. So, the next time you feel stuck, the next time motivation fades, the next time discipline feels impossible, remember the cold, step into it, embrace it, and let it remind you that clarity, resilience, and strength are always within reach.